Have you ever walked past one of those massive, towering skyscrapers in a major city?
Oh, yeah. The ones that are just all sleek glass and steel.
Right, exactly. You stand at the base, you look up, and all you see is this perfect glass reflecting the clouds.
It's beautiful.
It is. You just marvel at the sheer beauty of it. And your brain kind of, well, it tricks you into thinking it just exists.
Yeah.
Like it just sprouted from the ground perfectly formed.
Yeah, like it just magically appeared overnight.
Exactly. But what you don't see, what you're completely blind to from the sidewalk, is the thousands of hours of drafting.
The raw materials.
Yes, the raw steel rebar, the load-bearing calculations, the massive foundation poured deep into the dirt. We look at a finished building and just see the magic. We completely ignore the math.
I mean, it is entirely human to want the magic without wanting to think about the mechanics behind it.
Right.
We prefer the illusion of effortlessness. And that's especially true when it comes to the things that move us emotionally.
That desire for the illusion of effortlessness is honestly the core of what we're looking at today. Because we do the exact same thing with human connection.
Oh, absolutely.
We look at desire, we look at these incredible bonds between people, and we treat it like that sleek glass skyscraper. We think it's just magic.
Like it's just a stroke of luck.
Exactly. But today, we're going to look at the blueprints. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we have something a little different. We are exploring some incredibly profound, honestly almost poetic excerpts from a text called The Architecture of Irresistible Desire.
It's quite a title.
It really is. And our mission for you, the listener, is to completely deconstruct how you think about human connection.
Completely tear it down to the studs.
Right. We are shifting away from this highly romanticized idea of luck or fate. And instead, we're going to look at desire as a structure.
Something that is actively, meticulously built over time.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because I want to start right at the beginning of the text.
What's fascinating here is how immediately this text disrupts everything society teaches us about romance and connection.
It really does not pull any punches.
Not at all. From the very first line, it forces us to abandon this passive fairy tale narrative where you just wait for destiny to strike.
Right, like you're just waiting for lightning.
Yeah. It demands that we look at the structural integrity of how we relate to other human beings.
And I want you, listening right now, to forget everything you've ever been taught about finding the one. Because these notes completely throw that concept out the window.
They really do.
It says right out of the gate, desire isn't about finding the right person. It's about becoming someone unforgettable.
That is such a massive pivot.
It goes on. It says it's about becoming someone who leaves a mark without trying too hard.
The linguistic shift there is incredibly deliberate, moving from the word finding to the word becoming.
Let's talk about that, because finding implies something very specific, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. Think about what finding implies. It implies a scavenger hunt. It implies that the perfect connection is this static object hidden out in the world somewhere, and your only job is to wander around and stumble upon it.
Like looking for your lost keys.
Exactly. But becoming, on the other hand, is an internal, active, continuous process. It puts the locus of control entirely on you.
That honestly makes me rethink how most people approach relationships. It's like, well, it's like they're scrolling through real estate listings online.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
You're searching for this move-in ready dream house. You have your rigid checklist, right?
Right. It needs a great kitchen, good natural light.
Exactly. A certain personality, a specific sense of humor. You're just walking around looking for a house that is already built perfectly to your specifications.
But if I'm reading this text right, it suggests we are going about it entirely backwards.
We are. We aren't supposed to be looking for the house. We have to be the foundation.
We have to focus on becoming someone unforgettable.
Right. But I have a working theory on this next part. I want to see if it holds up.
Go for it.
The text says you have to leave a mark without trying too hard.
Yes, that part.
Isn't that a massive contradiction?
Yeah.
If I am actively becoming unforgettable, if I'm building a foundation, how do I do that without trying?
It sounds like it, yeah.
Does it mean we're just supposed to be apathetic? Like just act cool and pretend we don't care?
I wouldn't call it apathy at all, actually. It sounds like a paradox on the surface, but we have to look closely at what trying too hard actually means in the context of human connection.
Okay, what does it mean then?
Well, trying too hard implies force. It implies a deep sense of desperation.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
When someone is trying too hard, You can literally feel the agenda behind their actions.
You can feel the tension.
Exactly. They aren't actually present with you. They are trying to manipulate an outcome. They want you to perceive them in a specific way, so they are putting on a performance rather than simply existing.
Oh, that performative aspect is so draining.
It is exhausting.
We've all been on the receiving end of that, right?
Yeah.
Sitting across from someone, and you can feel them practically vibrating with the need to impress you.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like a connection at all. It feels like an audition or like a sales pitch.
And a sales pitch is inherently repellent to true desire. People can intuitively sense when they're being sold to, even emotionally.
That is so true. We have a radar for it.
We really do. So when the text says becoming someone unforgettable without trying too hard, it is talking about cultivating a natural state of being.
Okay, so the effort goes somewhere else.
Right. The effort, the trying, goes into your own internal foundation, your self-awareness, your depth, your presence.
So you do the work on yourself, essentially.
Exactly. Once that foundation is solid, you don't have to force the building to stand up. It just stands.
It just stands. I love that.
The architecture of desire, according to this text, is remarkably subtle. It is rooted in comfort within oneself, not in a frantic, exhausting effort to extract validation from someone else.
So the trying happens internally, in the becoming. And the not trying too hard is how you interact with the world once you've done that internal work.
You just exist.
You just exist, and your existence leaves a mark because it's authentic, not forced.
Precisely.
But if becoming unforgettable is the internal foundation, it begs the question, what actually are the daily building blocks we're supposed to be laying down?
Because the notes mention that this doesn't just happen instantly.
Right. The text says someone who understands that desire isn't built in one moment, but in many, in curiosity, in attention, in emotion.
Those 3 pillars.
Yeah. So what does this all mean for us in practice?
Well, in practice, it means we have to completely dismantle the Hollywood myth of the lightning bolt.
Oh, man. The classic love at first sight.
Exactly. The eyes meeting across a crowded room.
The swelling music, and suddenly the entire towering skyscraper is just magically built in a single second.
Society loves that narrative because it's highly dramatic and, frankly, it requires zero sustained effort.
It's the ultimate lazy fantasy.
Well,
You just stand there and let fate do all the heavy lifting.
exactly. But this text argues for the slow build. It argues for the incredible power of accumulation.
Right.
It lists these specific active forces: curiosity, attention, emotion. These are not passive states that just wash over you.
They aren't just things that happen to you.
No, these are daily, microscopic actions that require deep, conscious presence.
I want to break down those 3 specific words: curiosity, attention, emotion. Because my read on this is that they follow a very specific progression.
I agree.
Start with curiosity. To me, curiosity is the initial hook.
It is the spark.
But it can't just be asking someone what they do for a living or where they went to school. That's just an interview.
Right. It has to be a relentless, genuine wonder about the inner workings of another human being.
And importantly, the text suggests it has to be a curiosity that resists decay.
Yes. This is where most connections falter. Often people are intensely curious at the very beginning of a connection, during the honeymoon phase.
When everything is shiny and new.
Exactly. But once they feel they have figured the person out, the curiosity just stops.
They check the box.
They put the other person in a mental box. But the text posits curiosity as a permanent structural pillar. You have to constantly be asking, who are you today?
How is the world shaping you right now?
Because people change. That active, ongoing curiosity prevents the connection from becoming stagnant.
That makes me reconsider how often we mistake a comfortable routine for actual connection. If you aren't curious anymore, you're just coexisting.
You're just roommates, emotionally speaking.
Wow. Yeah. And then the text pairs curiosity with attention.
This is a big one.
If curiosity is wanting to know the answers, my thought is that attention is actually being quiet and present enough to hear them.
That's beautifully put.
I want to ask you, the listener, to really reflect on this for a second. Have you been waiting for that single magical lightning bolt moment to sweep you off your feet?
While completely ignoring the slow, quiet accumulation of these smaller moments of attention.
Exactly. True attention is profoundly rare right now. We live in an era of constant distractions.
Constant screens, constant pings.
To give someone your undivided, unwavering attention is probably the most potent building material we possess.
Attention is essentially the currency of connection. When you give someone your profound attention, you are signaling to them that they matter in the present moment.
More than the phone in your hand.
Yes, more than the phone, more than the anxieties in your head.
And then the text introduces the third element. Emotion.
Emotion is the weight.
Right. It's the mortar holding those bricks of curiosity and attention together.
Curiosity and attention without emotion is just a sterile interview. You need that emotional resonance.
The emotion is what gives the structure its warmth, its resonance, its actual human quality.
Exactly.
But let's pause here and look at the friction of this recipe. Because if you just stop there, if the entire blueprint for desire was solely curiosity, attention, and emotion, it would be absolutely suffocating.
It would be too much.
Imagine someone who is constantly intensely curious about you, staring at you with unwavering attention and flooding you with heavy emotion.
That's not a beautiful skyscraper. That's a bunker.
It's a bunker. It's completely overwhelming. You'd want to escape.
You would feel trapped.
And that brings us to the counterweight in this blueprint. The text doesn't stop at attention and emotion. Here's where it gets really interesting.
It pivots entirely.
It adds 3 more ingredients. In absence, in unpredictability, in freedom.
And then it adds this crucial qualifier.
Yes, all of it working together.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this pivot is where the text elevates from simple relationship advice to a profound psychological truth.
It introduces the counterintuitive ingredients.
It introduces the paradox of space.
It totally reminds me of musical composition.
Oh, I like that. How so?
Well, think about a breathtakingly beautiful piece of music. What makes the melody work? It isn't just the notes being played. If you just press down on all the piano keys at once, or if you hold a single loud note on a trumpet for 10 minutes straight without stopping, that isn't music.
That's just noise. It's irritating.
Exactly. What makes it music are the rests, the silences between the notes,
The space.
the attention and the emotion we just talked about. Those are the notes. But absence and freedom, those are the rests.
Without the silence, you don't have a melody.
Without freedom and absence, desire literally suffocates under its own weight.
It's all about the delicate management of tension. The text insists that desire is an ecosystem. You cannot have the pull without the push.
Let's analyze these contrasting elements because they are honestly brilliant.
You have attention, which provides safety, grounding, and validation.
But if you only have safety, the desire flatlines into platonic routine. The spark dies.
So the text introduces unpredictability to balance the safety of attention. Unpredictability introduces mystery,
A slight edge.
a vital reminder that you do not entirely own or control this other person.
We have to be reminded that the other person is an autonomous being out in the wild.
Yes.
But let's talk about why this is so difficult in practice. Why is absence so terrifying for humans?
Well, think about our instincts.
Right. When we feel a spark with someone, our biological instinctual urge is to grab onto them and never let go.
We are taught that if someone likes you, they should want to be with you 24/7.
We absolutely equate presence with safety.
But the text is saying, no, absence is actually a structural requirement.
It's terrifying because absence requires immense vulnerability and trust.
It requires you to quiet your own insecurities, which is really hard to do.
But strategically, absence is where desire breathes.
In absence, the imagination takes over. When the person isn't right in front of you, you have the space to actually miss them.
You have the space to reflect on their value, to actively feel the desire.
Exactly. If you never leave, they never have the opportunity to desire your return.
That makes perfect sense. And that leads directly into freedom.
The ultimate counterweight.
If unpredictability balances attention, then freedom balances the heavy, demanding weight of emotion,
Because emotion can feel like an obligation.
or even a trap if it isn't paired with freedom. When you offer someone freedom, the genuine, unmanipulated freedom to choose you or not choose you every single day, you remove the cage.
I was reading this and thinking people are far more likely to stay in a room when they know the door is wide open.
That is a perfect distillation of the concept. It is the absolute core of leaving a mark without trying too hard.
You are offering this profound, grounding attention, but pairing it with absolute open-door freedom.
That combination is lethal in the best way possible.
It's intoxicating because it respects the autonomy of the other person while still offering them a harbor.
But this delicate balance forces us to look at the darker side of this equation.
What happens when it fails?
Right, because if we are looking at this architecture, this incredibly complex ecosystem of attention, absence, unpredictability, and freedom, we have to look at what happens when the architecture collapses.
When we get the balance wrong.
Right.
The breakdown of the structure. heartbreak.
Yeah. And the text has this revelation about heartbreak that feels like a massive collective sigh of relief.
It really reframes everything.
Yeah, it says, and the truth is, most people don't lose someone because they weren't enough. They lose them because they didn't understand how desire works.
I have to tell you, reading that line was a profound aha moment.
Because society utterly conditions us to internalize romantic loss as a lack of personal worth. It attacks the ego directly.
It is the default human response to rejection or loss. We immediately turn the camera inward and look for the flaws.
We assume the failure was a reflection of our core value.
We tell ourselves these brutal stories.
Right. Like, I lost them because I wasn't smart enough.
I wasn't attractive enough.
Exactly. I wasn't funny or successful enough. I simply wasn't enough. We carry the ghosts of past relationships around as hard proof of our own inadequacy.
But this text completely shatters that narrative. It removes the burden of personal unworthiness.
It really does. It says, you didn't lose them because your core value as a human was lacking.
You lost them because you didn't understand the mechanics of the structure you were trying to build.
This raises an important question about the shift from emotional victimhood to structural understanding.
Think back to our skyscraper analogy from the very beginning.
Okay, yeah.
If a building falls down, you don't look at the rubble and say, well, the bricks just weren't good enough.
The glass didn't have enough self-worth.
Right, no. You look at the blueprints, you say there was a flaw in how these materials were put together, the physics failed.
The load-bearing walls were in the wrong place,
Yeah.
or the materials weren't balanced.
Precisely. Maybe you poured in a massive amount of emotion and attention, smothering the connection.
But you provided absolutely zero absence and freedom.
And the structure couldn't handle the suffocating weight of that intensity without the necessary breathing space. So it collapsed.
Or perhaps you went the other way. You offered too much unpredictability and absence.
Playing games and keeping your distance.
And you forgot to lay down the necessary foundation of attention and safety.
The structure lacked grounding, so it simply blew over in the wind.
The text is asserting that understanding these mechanics removes the paralyzing sting of personal inadequacy.
It was a structural failure, not a moral one.
It is incredibly freeing to look back on a past heartbreak and realize, oh, I was enough.
I just didn't balance the curiosity with the freedom.
Or I gave too much attention and forgot to allow for absence. It changes everything.
It takes the power out of the past and puts it back in your hands for the future.
Which brings us to the ultimate conclusion of our journey today. We started by dismantling the passive myth of luck.
We threw away the idea of just finding the right person like a real estate listing.
We walked through the deep, paradoxical ingredients of this architecture, how you absolutely might balance the heavy presence of attention and emotion with the rest.
The breathing room of absence and unpredictable freedom.
And we've arrived at this empowering, liberating truth that loss is often a failure of blueprints, not a failure of your inherent worth.
That leads perfectly into the final defining thought of the text.
How does it end?
It wraps up this entire philosophy by speaking directly to the reader, effectively passing the baton. It says, but now you do. Desire isn't luck, it isn't random, it's something you build whether you realize it or not.
Wow. The listener now holds the blueprint.
The illusion of the magic skyscraper is gone, and you are left holding the tools.
Whether you realize it or not, that is the key phrase there at the end. You are always building.
Every single day.
Every interaction you have, every text you send, every moment of silence you allow or refuse to allow, you are acting as an architect.
You just didn't know you were on the construction site until now.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a lingering thought. Something to really mull over as you go about your day and interact with the people you care about.
A provocative question.
Exactly. If desire is an architecture that you are constantly actively building, whether you consciously realize it or not, what kind of structures are you unknowingly building with the people in your life right now?
Are you building claustrophobic cages made entirely of intense attention and heavy emotion?
Terrified to let them out of your sight? Or are you brave enough to leave the door open, to leave room for that unpredictable freedom and absence that actually makes someone unforgettable?
It's all up to you.
The blueprints are in your hands now. Build wisely.